Hi, my name is Rebecca Porter, and my educational giant is Alexander Sutherland Neal. He was a leader in the progressivist movement, and his greatest achievement was the Summerhill School in Suffolk, England. Um, Alexander was born in 1883 in England. He went to school. His both of his parents were school teachers. He absolutely hated school. Which kind of shapes his future as a teacher. He hated school, hated going, and so after he finished school, he went on to become a journalist. His journalism career kind of faltered, and so he came back to help at his father's school. When he started helping at his father's school, he actually discovered that he loved being a teacher. And so this caused him to actually go back to school to become a teacher for real. So during the time he was in school, he worked at many other schools just trying to get his education done. And then when he finally graduated, he started working at a progressive school with somebody else. That school only lasted a year. And after it ended, he decided to start his own school. So in 1921, he started Summerhill. And what's kind of amazing about this is he started Summerhill in 1921 and it is still running today. A lot of the information I got for my project was from their actual school website. And on their website, in order to get your kid enrolled in the school, you actually have to read this book on the side of the child, and it is a bibliography about basically the background and everything about Summerhill School. So Summerhill is what is called a free school. Free, not as in you can go there for free, but it is free from tradition, free from just your norms. You are free to do whatever you want. So at Summerhill, you do not have to go to class. You do not have to follow a generalized curriculum. You are free as a student to choose to do what you want. So this is one of the draws to that school and also one of the drawbacks of the school. So in 1997, Tony Blair, the Prime Minister, he decided he was going to kind of crack down on schools and make the standards more all around and make sure everything was the same for each school. And it brought Summerhill into a lot of criticism because classes were compulsory. So that pissed off a lot of parents because what kid is going to choose to go to class? They also don't have a rule system. So the only rule that is established at Summerhill is that you are free to do as you wish as long as it doesn't impinge on the rights of any other student or teacher. So as long as you aren't hurting anybody else, you can do it. Well, this also doesn't bring a lot of joy to this. But what's funny is they have a government, a set government that meets every week, and there is a student in charge of the government and in charge of the meetings. And I actually watched a video of one of their little government meetings where everyone is having their say. And during this meeting, this probably 10-year-old boy is in charge, and he's saying he's fighting for bedtime. That is a rule that he wants to add in because right before this, they had decided to throw out the old rule book and start from scratch and try to see what they wanted to do. So they hadn't had bedtime. And it was because Summerhill is a boarding school. So it was killing the kids. They're like, we need a bedtime. We are going to start establishing a bedtime because we want to get some sleep. So here's kids who you wouldn't think would ever say, hey, I want a bedtime, to pick it for themselves. Um, and also because there isn't actually any rules, that's another reason why Tony Blair coming in and checking things out was kind of hard for the school because with no rules and a bunch of kids, You get people who are nude, people who don't want to do anything that, and so there's actually also video on the internet of the teachers swimming with the students naked. So that when Tony Blair came in and started setting up regulations, they really cracked down on things. I tried to figure out what all the things that the school, because all I could find was that there was 8 things that they got taken to court for, um, 3 things that they absolutely had to fix, and 5 things that they just that the state discovered worked just fine and they can continue doing. So compulsory classes was something that the state decided was fine because the kids were learning things. They were learning how to read. They were learning how to write. If you wanted to go to college after you were done, then they made sure to make you study for the standardized tests and made sure that you were able to pass them and get into college afterwards. One of the things I found interesting was that they have never had somebody actually become a teacher from this school. So right now there's only 59 students there, which I think is kind of cool. So they are able to keep class sizes down. So even if you want to go to class, you basically have one-on-one attention from a teacher who will help you do whatever you want to do. Um, they had one student that graduated that he never went to one class in the 10 years that he was enrolled. He obviously didn't learn to read or write. He didn't do anything to further his education, so he graduated. So he does have a high school diploma, but he didn't know how to read and write. He didn't learn how to do any of that until his late 30s, because while he was traveling the world and getting odd jobs, he finally ran into a point where he realized that that was important. He had faked his way through life up until that point. Um, so right now, the director or principal of Summerhill is actually Neil's daughter. She is the one that is running the school now. He died in the late 90s. One of the things that he said about the school was he would rather have Summerhill produce a happy street sweeper than a neurotic prime minister. So his basis for everything was that he wanted the students to be happy, to learn, to find a joy in learning. And that's my spiel on Alexander Sutherland Neill. Thanks.